Welcome to Mr. Delusional's world. This is Season 1, Episode 2, and this is what we called Prisoners on the Loose. So we were called in because the police at the station were all corrupt. So what they did, every year they would let loose prisoners. These prisoners are all elite drug kingpins, and they are all millionaires. So for them to stay in prison and run their network, they would pay US $500,000 for a single phone call, because this one phone call would run their entire business and give their elites directives. So every year the station lets loose prisoners, and they always give the government some make-up excuse. So we were called in, and what we did was we had a massive ship off the coast of the continent. This ship has the capability to tap into any network anywhere on the continent. So what we did was we strategically planned some events that would happen. One year we allocated $1 million in a race car event that would happen on Main Street, where the police station is located. So we got some racing cars and some racing trucks. The purpose of these race events is to have one of the trucks crash into the station and demolish one side of the cell where they're keeping these prisoners. So on the day of the event, we had one of our trucks with a crash bar slam straight into the cell. We tell them that we're sorry and we are responsible for fixing it. And on top of that, we will also add an additional block for you. Now this is our strategic way of running wires through these columns so we can have a listening ear on everything that's going on in the cell. So we put together a construction team who would rebuild the cell and put in some of our wires that we modified in the structure. So now we have a listening ear on every single thing that is going on in the station. That means if they make a phone call or whisper, we hear everything. We also have a listening ear in their cop car, and let me say this, all of what happened in that station I can't talk about here because some of that information I classified them as criminals with badge and gun operations. So my main focus is on the escape of the prisoners. One of the prisoners is from Colombia. So he called his right-hand man and asked him if the boat was ready, and he said yes. The Colombian kingpin told him that the Coast Guard was going to pick him up. Now beneath the Coast Guard police boat, the police built a makeshift carrier that was connected underneath the boat. So the plan was that the Coast Guard boat would come where the prison is and then take the Colombian kingpin and put him under the boat. But what they didn't know was that we had asked one of our Marines to place a laser tracker in their engine one late night when the boat was docked. Now sit back and relax and take notes of how everything happened when they left the station with the Colombian kingpin in the makeshift carrier that is attached underneath the Coast Guard boat. Our team was waiting patiently for them to reach beyond the continent borderline so that they could use the laser tracker and cut the engine wire. So the moment they passed over the line, the captain of the ship ordered them to cut the wire as they were getting excited to make good their accomplishment of releasing the prisoner. The engine was stopped, and the boat stopped moving, and everyone got quiet, and now they are trying to start the boat. But the boat did not start, and they did that for 30 minutes before they decided to call their headquarters. But what they didn't know was that we rerouted all calls to our ship. So when they thought they were calling their station, they were calling the ship. So when they called, our captain answered and said, "Hello, this is the Sailing Earth captain speaking. How may I assist?" So the police guy said, "I'm trying to reach the station." So the captain replied and said, "The network is giving problems. So we are receiving all the calls from individuals out at sea who are trying to reach that station. And he said, "Is there anything I can be of assistance with?" The police replied and said, "I think our boat engine is giving us a little problem, but I think we can fix it." And the captain asks, "Are you sure? Because I can send you help." The police replied and said, "It's minor if anything. I'll call you back." The captain says, "Copy." So they both hang up. Now remember, they are supposed to reach a submarine that is waiting in the distance for the Colombian kingpin, because the submarine can't come too close for our radar to detect it. So the plan was to go to the submarine. So after they tried again and again, nothing worked. So they called back and said, "Hello, can somebody come and pull us?" So the captain told them, "Yeah, we're gonna come and help you." So he said, "Okay." Now as for the Colombian kingpin, they brought him up top and told him of the situation. They told him that something was wrong with the engine and the boat wouldn't start, and we had to call for help. So the Colombian boss said, "Okay, not a problem. Just call my submarine and let them come and get me." So the police said, "Well, that is where the problem is. Something is wrong with the network. So all our calls have been rerouted to the ship." So the Colombian boss asks, "How far away is the submarine?" The police say, "About 22 miles beyond the continent line." The Colombian boss asks, "Can't they come any closer?" The policeman replied, "No, because if they come over onto the continent border, that will cause international problems." So the Colombian boss says, "So near but so far," with a worried look on his face. So he says, "What do we do?" So the policeman says, "Here is the plan. They will have to come and get us by pulling our boat. So we will cover you down under this tarpaulin, and you keep quiet, because we are the police. They won't come on board and search the boat." So the Colombian boss says, "Okay, no problem." So when they called back the ship sent a team, and the team came and pulled the boat. At first, the police thought that they were getting pulled to the station, but their thoughts were wrong. The team that came for them had a plan, a very ingenious plan. They created a scene as if pirates were coming to the ship, and they needed to get back to the ship as fast as possible to help the team. So the closer they were getting to the ship, that's the time the team on the ship was talking over on the radio to ask the rescue team to get to the ship as fast as possible. So as they get closer, one of the police looks kind of puzzled, because he is wondering who could out of their mind to attack a warship. But then it came to his thought that many times when pirates try and attack a ship, it's when they are too close. That's the time they realize that this was a ship that they should not have messed with. So the policeman didn't think about it anymore. So as soon as they reached the ship, the Marine takes away the policemen's guns and lets them on the ship. The reason for that is that no one is allowed on that ship with guns, and the government knows that it's protocol. So they all walk into a room. When they walked into the room, there was the captain with 6 heavily armed Marines and 5 chairs. So the policemen had a surprised look on their faces. So they asked, "What is this for?" The captain replies and says, "Have a seat, and I'll tell you in a minute." So they all take a seat. So the captain asked, "Where were you guys going?" One of the policemen replied, "We were doing our border patrol, and we got stuck." So the captain asked, "How many of you were on the boat?" The next police officer replied, "Only us 4. So the captain asks, "One of our Marines detect a makeshift carrier of some sort beneath your boat. What is it?" The 4th police officer replied, "When we collect the keys on the days when it's our shift, we don't check under the boat. We just check cash and we're off." So the captain replies and says, "Were you guys heading to meet someone?" All four policemen replied, "No." So the captain asked, "Do you guys really know what happened to your boat?" One of the policemen replied, "We're not sure." So the captain asks one of the Marines to bring the Columbia boss. Now when the Marine brings the Colombian boss in, it's like the entire room becomes quiet. So the captain says, "I have one word for you all, busted. Now, let me enlighten you on what really happened. We know that you all at the station were corrupted. So we created that car race accident so that we could build a new building and install our wires in the walls. And we tapped all phone and cars so we could know each and every move you all made. And as for the boat, we cut the wire, and how we did that part, we'll keep to ourselves. Now in our court of law, this action alone is 5 years. And as for the individual whom you take out, depending on his status, for example, this kingpin, that is a mandatory 20 years. Because by you helping him out of the cell, he could have created a world of atrocity. So that is 25 years already. So you and I know for a fact that you will spend 20 years in prison because we can only negotiate with the 5 years, which is the act of your action. So now this is our offer. I need each of you to tell me how many times you've let loose someone, and I need all who are involved." And the captain says, "And one more thing. We don't ask questions to answer that we don't already know the answer to." And, my friend, that was the way we opened a vault of information. So stay tuned because you are on a trip in the world of adventure.